Author Tool Set Tuesday with a really awesome quote from George Herbert, who said, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command. And know this. Better tools will show up as you go along. You'll find them. They will just magically appear. All kinds of cool stuff will go on." Hi there, my name is Christopher Diarmani, and it is my pleasure, it is my passion to empower nonfiction authors. Authors just like you. So you can turn your dream of writing a book into your published reality. Because if I can do this, my goodness, anyone can do this. And yeah, I've written and published 50 books, but nothing happened until I did the very first one. Just like nothing's going to happen for you until you get through that very first draft of your very first book. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about just getting that first draft done. It won't be perfect. We don't expect it to be perfect. We actually don't care if it's not perfect. That's the mindset I want you to play with this. So when is now the best time to start writing your book? Simple question. Well, now is the best now to write my book, right? Of course, because if you wait around for that perfect moment until you have the right tools or the right outline or the right this or the right that, your book is going to be stranded on someday island. Someday I'll write my book. Someday I'll whatever. Those days never show up, not ever. We lie to ourselves and say they will, but if we want to be deeply honest with ourselves, we know we're lying to ourselves so that we don't have to do the hard thing that's put in front of us to do. And writing a book will have its challenges. There's no way around that. But it's also going to have some really, really amazing moments. So stop waiting for the right time, because that perfect moment doesn't exist. And since that book is weighing so heavily on your heart, just do one simple thing. Do the one simplest thing. Start. Yes, just start. It doesn't matter that you don't have the right whatever. None of that's relevant. It really isn't. Use whatever tool you have available, whether that's like a notepad and pen, whether you're recording it through using your voice onto your phone, whether it's using a computer or a specialized writing program. I don't care what you use. You shouldn't either. Use whatever you have at hand, because whatever you have at hand is the right tool. You don't need to go buy something better. You can save that for later. When you really think that, you know what, I'm getting serious about this whole writing thing. Maybe I do want to invest in some other tool that's designed for this. You know, Scrivener is a great example of that. That's a beautiful tool, but do you need it? My goodness, no. You don't need anything. You can write it on Notepad on your Windows computer or whatever the equivalent is on Mac. You don't need anything. You just need to start. Just need to start. And just understand this. You will develop all the skills, you will develop all the tools that you require as you go. And there's great ways to shortcut that process as well. You know, that's what I teach every day at 3 o'clock. Another way of shortcutting the process so that you can get that book out of your head and onto the page. That's what it's all about, truly is. And so we're going to talk about getting your outline done right now. And then we'll get to writing that first draft. So set a timer on your smartphone or on whatever device you happen to have there. I don't care. And set a 5 or a 10-minute timer. I put 10-minute on the slides, but this works even better when you set 5 minutes, because you're forced to really work hard to get all this stuff out in a much shorter period of time. So set the timer, start the timer, and then for the next 5 or 10 minutes, whichever you choose, write down all the details you can think of, all the major headings of whatever you think needs to be in your book. Brainstorm, and be wild and crazy with this. Be as expansive as you possibly can, because you'll figure out all the order of this stuff later and whether the list is correct or not later. But right now, we wanted to just do a brain dump of every idea that you have that should be in your book. And when that timer expires, stop. Whether you feel like you're finished or not, doesn't matter. Because next you're going to reset that timer and restart the timer, and you're going to do this process again, but slightly differently. Now, for every single heading that you have on the page, I want you to write 3, 5, or 7 new ideas that break down that main heading, break it down 3, 5, 7 more times, so you've got individual sections for that chapter. And repeat that for everything on your list. And when the timer expires, stop. Yes, you really do need to stop when the timer goes off, even if you don't think it's finished or it's perfect. Because let me in on a really simple secret. It ain't perfect. It's not perfect. And guess what else? That doesn't matter. That it's not perfect is completely irrelevant, because you're going to hone all this stuff as you go. Because what you have on the page right in front of you right now is more than enough to get started. way more than you need. So just get started. Your first draft is literally just that, your first draft. It's not supposed to be a masterpiece at this point, because the first draft is about getting the words out of your head and onto the page so you can make sense of them later. That's the only purpose of it. So write with complete wild abandon if you can bring yourself into that state, because so many great stuffs will fall out of your head and onto that page. It's going to shock you in a beautiful way, and the faster you can do this, the better, because the faster we do these things, the faster we get these ideas out of our head onto that page, the easier it is to keep the infernal editor on the sidelines where he belongs. This is not his time. He gets time later on. Right now, but he thinks now is his time. He thinks, well, that's a crappy sentence. You're not going to let that stand, are you? Yeah, let the crappy sentence stand, because it doesn't matter. Just get that one thought into your head. Whatever comes out, in whatever shape it comes out, it doesn't matter, because you're going to make it better later. That's the whole purpose of revisions. That's the reason why you write a second draft, why you write a third draft, why you polish all that into a final draft. That's why you do that. So what comes out on the page right now? It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you get those thoughts out of your head and onto the page. Let me say that again. The only thing that matters is you get the thoughts out of here and onto that page in front of you. That's it. Because only then can you evaluate what your thinking is, what the order of things are, what you want to add, what you want to subtract. You can't figure out any of that stuff if it's all just running around on a hamster wheel inside your brain. It's got to be in front of you where you can look at it and think about it and reread it and cut pieces of paper up and move it around and put it on a bulletin board or whatever your process needs to be. Figure it all out, but nothing can happen until that first draft is out on your page. So don't get hung up on the process or the tools. Write fast, write often, do all that, but what tool you use is completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Completely irrelevant. So if you want to write it with longhand in a journal or a notepad, fantastic. I love that. I love that. What about if you want to use it typing into your favorite word processor or into Notepad, or maybe you've got Scrivener or some other great tool. Whatever the tool is, if you like it, use it. If you don't like it, don't use it. Simple stuff. If you want to record your book onto your phone, wonderful. There are some folks that say that when you speak the book out loud, you get more words out faster than if you're writing them. That's not been true for me, but that's just because I work in perhaps a strange state. Perhaps for you, like it does for so many other people, that's going to be the absolute best way to get your words out. Whatever works. Just embrace whatever that thought is. And change if you want halfway through. Like if you discover, well, I'm writing longhand, you know what, I feel like this is taking too long. Well, then change. Start typing or start speaking it. Or reverse, go the other way. Like whatever the process you need to play with, it doesn't matter. Right? Doesn't matter at all. The tool doesn't matter. The only thing that matters, as I've said repeatedly, is to get the thoughts out of here and onto the page in front of you so you can make sense of them. But what about if you're not sure what the book is, or maybe you don't know even clearly why writing this book is so important to you? And maybe you want to discover that stuff before you get started. I think that's a great idea. I really do. And if that is the case for you, then please go to authorcoach.click/dreams and schedule a time that works for you. And you and I will get together for a half hour or 45 minutes, and we'll just dive deeply into like, who are you? Why is this so important for you? Why is this the book that you feel is important for you to write? And maybe it's something you've gone through in your life and you want to share the experience so that someone else doesn't have to fall down that same rabbit hole. That's a beautiful reason to write a book. But maybe you're not sure about whether you can get it done, or how long it'll take, or any of those sorts of things. Or maybe just you need to get attached to some really deep why, which I heartily recommend. Because the deeper and more profoundly you can know your why, the easier this whole process becomes. It truly does. So if that's where you're at, I would love to help kick open those doors.